is it a beautiful day here in Alabama. We're getting ready to keep on racing here on the Mazda Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. And coming up next on the starting grid, it is the Mazda Grand Prix of Alabama, presented by Cooper Tires. And I'm walking around down here, and I've found a star of the Mazda Road to Indy, really. It's Aaron Telitz. Aaron, are you happy to be in Alabama and out of St. Petersburg, Florida?
I am. Normally, I love St. Pete, but it wasn't so nice to me this year, as you guys know. So it's great to be here, back in my Bilardi Auto Racing car. Excited to get this race going.
Now, we're here in Alabama in front of a huge crowd of IndyCar and Mazda Road to Indy fans. Some of them may not know why St. Pete wasn't so kind to you. Can you catch us up to speed?
Yeah, we were on pole for race 1, and we were going for another pole for race 2. And turn 3, which is a tricky high-speed right-hand corner, I ended up riding off my entire car into the outside wall. So this is a totally brand new car here, and we're going to be going for a win here.
So in other words, to those of you who didn't catch Aaron, they were qualifying for race 2 in St. Pete and destroyed the race car, wrote it off completely, and now they've had to rebuild the race car. You've got a new piece underneath you from Bilardi Auto Racing. How do you feel going into round 3 of the 2018 season?
Yeah, I feel really good. My car's been great here so far this weekend at Barber Motorsports Park. Qualifying 1 got a little bit away from me on my last run on tires. I'd like to be on the front row. I know I've got the speed for it, so we'll be going for it here.
And just a reminder to these Alabama race fans who may not know how the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires works. You guys are in the Indy Lights Championship. You're racing for a chance to be in the IndyCar Series next year, including the Indy 500. No pressure, though.
No pressure. We're just trying to go as fast as we can. Every session, we're taking it one corner at a time.
One corner at a time. That's Aaron Telitz. We're going to talk to his team owner now, Bryan Bilardi. Bryan, your driver seems calm and confident. Are you?
I am, especially with a driver like Aaron. He's always calm and confident. It was unfortunate what happened at St. Pete. The team did a great job getting the car back together, and unfortunately, on the second race, he was involved in another incident, which really wasn't any of his control.
Now, we also understand that a big announcement took place last weekend in Long Beach, California for you and your team. Can you explain to us what's going on and how you're moving up the ladder with not just your driver, but your team?
Well, it's first of all, the Mazda Road to Indy was able to prepare me for that springboard. A great opportunity with Jonathan Bird's Racing and AJ Foyt Racing to do the Indy 500 this year. We're really looking forward to it.
So that's obviously going to be pretty exciting. You guys are going to be getting ready for that right after we leave here because the month of May will be here soon, and you guys are going to be on the grid for the Indy 500. We're looking forward to it. Again, it's been a lifelong dream of mine, and it's going to be a busy month of May, that's for sure. All right, so Bryan Bilardi right there proving it to you folks that the Mazda Road to Indy not only advances drivers' careers, but crew members' careers and team owners' careers, as this guy is going to be helping field a car in the 102nd running of the greatest spectacle in racing. We're getting ready to go racing. It's the Mazda Grand Prix of Alabama presented by Cooper Tires. Round 3 of the Indy Lights Championship coming up next. Get somewhere where you can have a good seat.
The Verizon IndyCar Series and the champion will win that scholarship to run in at least 3 races in 2019, including the Indianapolis 500. Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires on the grid and ready to go. We'll have the driver lineup for you here in a couple of minutes, and again, we'll get things underway. 8 cars ready to go into battle. These drivers, the future of the Verizon IndyCar Series. We've watched racers like Kyle Kaiser and Ed Jones and Spencer Piggott make the move from Indy Lights up into the Verizon IndyCar Series. So many young drivers have made that move. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about set to go here. We would like to kick things off with the singing of the National Anthem, and I would like to present to you our anthem performer, Birmingham native Daniel Smith.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
On behalf of everyone at Cooper Tires, drivers, start your Mazda engines.
Engines fire up as we get set to go. We'll have a couple of our guests up in the flag stand to throw the green flag. It'll be Aaron Thompson and Jessica Vicken, guests of Cooper Tires, to throw the green flag. What a great place to watch the start of this race from in the flag stand high atop the front straightaway. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about set to go racing. IndyCar Radio will take it over, but I'll pass it first up to Rick Green.
Well, thank you, Rob. We are ready for racing, and we've got a whole lot of it this afternoon. But first up, the upcoming stars of the Verizon IndyCar Series. You're looking at tomorrow's leaders around the track as the Indy lights make their way out. And momentarily, we're going to join the folks over at IndyCar Radio. And they'll take you around the track for this, the first Indy Light race of the weekend. Don't forget, this afternoon we still have qualifying for the Verizon Series, followed by the IMSA Prototype Challenge Car race. An hour and 45-minute race to follow. So lots of activity on track. We hope you've got a good seat and ready to have some fun. Get yourself an ice cold Coca-Cola or an adult beverage and get ready to watch some great racing. So with that, we'll get ready to throw it over to the folks at IndyCar Radio. And we are ready. Let's throw it over to IndyCar.
In Birmingham, Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park. We're going to need a little help describing the action. We'll carry them through the Alabama roller coaster that makes up turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a nice straightaway, best passing zone on the racetrack into turn number 5, and that's where they will pop into the view of Michael Young. Good afternoon, Michael.
Thank you, Nick Yeoman. Yes, a beautiful afternoon here at Barber Motorsports Park as the field now makes their way down the back straightaway. A unique facility, Barber Motorsports Park, with the front straightaway directly in front of me. I will see them from turn 4 down in through turn 5 and turn 6. That is the Charlotte's Web area. They will then shoot back to the east underneath the bridge and into turn 7 to the view of our very own Jake Query. But a beautiful day, and Jake, I will say this, albeit 8 cars, I think we'll have a very exciting race today.
I agree with that, Michael, and this is the time of year where I always get a little self-conscious because I'm on the 4th floor of the museum, people taking in the nearly 650 motorcycles on display, 100 years worth of them, 1,400 total in the collection here at the Barber Motorsports Park Museum. Once again, I'm perched along with the always engaging and friendly volunteer, very knowledgeable Steve Price, who joins me each and every year up here, and I watch them take that right-hander that is turn number 8, a 90-foot nearly elevation change, a long sweeping right-hander. If you're not careful, you can end up in that sand trap to the outside of it. Once you get down to the bottom of it, there's a slight kink that is turn number 10, but you're going through the gearbox trying to get speed when you do it. Tricky part of the race course, but it's a pleasure once again to call it here in Sweet Home, Alabama.
Michael, Jake, thank you both very much. Going to have a lot of fun today calling this race. I got one gentleman patrolling pit lane. He is the Mazda Road to Indy insider, Rob Howden. A very, very pleasant day here in the South.
Yeah, Nick, thank you so much. You know, I don't care what the forecast looks like for tomorrow. Today is one of those Chamber of Commerce days here at Barber Motorsports Park. Blue skies, we got some clouds starting to come in, but a really comfortable 74-degree ambient temperature. 117 on the track, though. It's the hottest it's been for these drivers. And again, that plays to the engineers. What changes do they make to the cars? We saw in the qualifying session earlier today a lot of adjustment to the front of the car. They were trying to get the rake right. They were working on on ride height, on the dampers as well. A lot of work being done on the cars throughout qualifying to try to get the balance just right. I think the key to this race here is the fact that the drivers up front right now, Colton Herda, Pato O'Ward, Santi Urrutia, and Aaron Telitz, all in their second and third years. We're talking about drivers with maturity and poise and consistency. They make a mistake every once in a while, but the more we get into the season, the better these guys are going to get. The bottom line is Aaron Telitz needs to have a good day here today if he's going to start clawing back some of the points that he lost at St. Petersburg.
Thank you so much, Rob Houghton. Have some fun down there. Anders, how big on this start? We've got teammates together in row 1 and teammates together in row 2. I would assume that there's been some discussions of taking care of each other because this left-hander of turn 1 is awful tricky. We've seen guys make those cars awful wide open.
It's not easy, but if you paid attention to St. Petersburg, you'll know that Pato O'Ward and Colton Herda will not race each other very nicely. I'm excited.
Here we go, 8 cars here at Barber Motorsports Park. This is the Indy Light Series presented by Cooper Tires. The field rolls out of turn 17. They'll see the green flag, and Colton Herda is on it. He's got Santi Urrutia right up underneath the gearbox. Pato O'Ward throws it in on the outside, and O'Ward's going to secure the second spot. Urrutia, he'll charge on the outside, trying to grab that second spot, and Dalton Kellett is much further back. It's a 3-car making a 4-car incident as Kellett makes contact with Aaron Telitz. Alfonso Solis has to go to the outside to try to avoid some sand, and Michael Young, meanwhile up front, the front 4 streaking away.
Dean and Pato O'Ward got his teammate Bryan Herda down in turn number 5. Right behind him, Santi Urrutia and the car of Viktor Franzoni. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 working their way through turn number 7 and Jake Query, and we are under caution, full course caution.
Full course caution indeed. Again, Pato O'Ward with Colton Herda just behind him. Then it's Santi Urrutia and then Viktor Franzoni. Front 4 had checked themselves out. Then that full course caution came underway, Nick.
Yep, everyone's going to have to jump out of the throttle, and Anders, you're getting a look at the replay right now.
Yeah, and again, Aaron Telitz, a completely innocent bystander. Dalton Kellett just loses the rear end, and Aaron Telitz tries to go to the high side, and then Dalton Kellett just releases the brake and goes right into his side. So, oh man, I feel so bad for Aaron Telitz. He just can't get a lucky break. I mean, this is just
Dave,
through no fault of his own.
This is unbelievable, the start of the season to Aaron Telitz. I mean, right when you think it couldn't get any worse, boy, oh boy, it sure does.
Wasn't he the Pro Mazda champion just a couple of years ago, and it was riding high in this Mazda road to Indy, and now 6th last year, obviously in his rookie campaign in lights, but Aaron Telitz, all of a sudden, he's already out of the car, which is good to see. He's fine, but man, oh man, there's a lot of points he's left on the table these last couple of races.
Yep, it's heavy right front damage. Rob Houghton, looks like Dalton Kellett has brought the number 28 K-Line car to pit lane. A frustrating start to the race for some of those drivers needing some points early in this season.
Yeah, Kellett coming in right now, Nick, but the craziness was the Juncos drivers, or Juncos crew running across the track. They wanted to have a good look at Alfonso Solis's car when he came through. Obviously, Alfonso to the outside, like Aaron, taking evasive maneuvers to try to get around the spinning Dalton Kellett. They're going to go to work on that front wing. In fact, they got that changed super quick. The sound you hear there, Dalton Kellett down and away. They were able to get things fixed up for him. But again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Alfonso Solis in here as well for Juncos Racing, as they got a good look, Nick, at the car as he came by at slow speed, at pace car speed here on the front straightaway.
Yeah, Solis had to make an evasive maneuver and drive far off of the racetrack, but it didn't look like he made contact with anybody, as again, it looked like it was a 4-car accident. Ryan Norman had to get his car woed up and slowed down pretty significantly as well. Anders, as for Pato O'Ward, he was on it out of the Alabama roller coaster, took advantage and took the lead here.
He was, and it's no surprise this morning he was on his very first 2 laps in qualifying, was 6/10 clear of the field. So he is an absolute animal on opening laps. And I was actually very surprised to see Colton Herda open the door as much as he did into turn 5. And an easy way to just protect your position there is go to the inside, protect it, and make the overtaking driver, or the driver trying to make an overtake, go around the long way round, and didn't do that. And as soon as Pato O'Ward sees an opening, he's going to go for it.
Anders, you know Brian Bellardi pretty well, raced for him in the Indy Lights Series. He really believes in Aaron Telitz, and I think we've all got to know Aaron Telitz over the years. Super nice kid, and he wants it pretty bad. This is just, I've never seen a guy start the season, the guy that we expect to be a championship contender, have so many issues, and most of them have not been of his doing.
It just shows you how cruel racing can be. I mean, all the odds can be stacked up against you. Going into the season, Aaron Telitz has been quickest in just about every single preseason test. He's been the man in charge basically for every single session, and just to have all these, compounding things come on top of each other is crazy. And it's in those times when you really need a team behind you that supports you. And I heard the story about Brian Velarde. As soon as Aaron Telitz came out of the car after his big wreck in St. Petersburg, Brian Velarde said, "We'll get it sorted. We'll get you back on track." And that's just the kind of guy that Brian Velarde is. He's the guy that always stands behind his team and behind his drivers.
The great thing about Bryan is that he grew up playing football. He's used to the ups and downs of sports, let alone motorsports. But if you're Telitz, I mean, he's 26 years old. What do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say, hey, it's not my fault. But when you're going to look at the points come tomorrow morning, man.
Well, and I think the biggest thing is every single one of these drivers are in this championship to win that $1 million to move on to the Indy 500 and the Verizon IndyCar Series. And I think as he sees now, he's going to be looking at that and saying that's going to be nigh on impossible now with the points gap that he has. And that is the sole reason why Rice Lake Weighing Systems and all these local Wisconsin businesses have got behind Aaron Telitz, is because they believe in him to be a Verizon IndyCar Series driver, but they don't necessarily have the monetary funds to be able to support him there.
Right.
So they all think he can win the championship, as do we. We know he's capable.
He's capable.
Yeah, absolutely. But just a horrendous start to the season. So where the path goes from here for Aaron Telitz, we obviously don't know.
There's a couple ways to look at this. The good news for him is, hey, right now it's only an 8-car field. The bad news is it's only an 8-car field because a lot of these guys are going to have top 5. If you can pile enough, chances are you're going to win the championship at the end of the year. So it's a fine line.
Aaron Telitz entered this weekend 36 points back. You saw the rookie at 9th in points. We did have a few more cars racing at St. Petersburg, so this DNF here in round number 3 in race 1 of Barber Motorsports Park. It's another big hit. And Anders, again, it's too early to call anyone out of the championship mix, but for Telitz, you would think his goal now has to be, I got to go out there and just start winning races and impress car owners, because that championship prize at the end is now going to be one heck of an uphill battle. I'll get your thoughts on that momentarily. Rob Howden, you're standing by once again with a very dejected driver far too early in one of these Indy Lights races.
Aaron Telitz, yesterday you and I talked about the fact that in the 4 years of racing in the Mazda Road Indy before this year, you didn't have any accidents. It just didn't happen. You finished all the races. The bad luck that plagues you right now, give me your thoughts right now. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mean, this was another incident just like the start of race 2 at St. Pete, where it had nothing to do with me. Dalton's on new tires, threw it up the inside in turn 1, ran me off the racetrack into the grass, and then he goes ahead and spins out right in front of me in turn 2 and 3, and nowhere I can go. So that was awesome.
Obviously dejected, a little disappointed, a little angered. What do you do from here? Is it all about just going out and winning races? You know you can do it. You won 2 races last year. Is it all about just winning races now?
Yeah, that's all that matters right now, is just winning races. That's pretty much it right now.
The team's obviously behind you. Good luck.
Thanks.
There it is, Nick Yeoman. Aaron not happy at all, dejected, as I said, angered as well. Held it back. I could see it in his face, but he knows he's got to go win some races here for the remainder of the season.
Anders, he kind of answered the question that I had for you. Just go out there and win. And honestly, that interview that Rob Howden did, I mean, very sarcastic, Aaron Telitz, but at this point, what can you do but chuckle a bit?
No, exactly. You have to see humor in it. You really do, because otherwise you'll drive yourself mad. And just the amount of the years of dedication that he's put into this. I remember watching him win the Skip Barber Scholarship back in, I think, 2010, 2011. And his entire family was there. He won that $200,000 scholarship to go to USF 2000, and you would have thought it was the World Championship, because otherwise he would have never even been in USF 2000. So he's climbed the ladder thanks to all these people and all these things lining up for him, and unfortunately for him, man, things just haven't gone his way this year so far.
Good news is that accident has been cleaned up, and here we go, back to racing at Barber Motorsports Park. A really, really nice jump by Pato O'Ward out of turn 17. He'll see the green flag and clear Colton Herda by 3 or 4 car lengths as they barrel into turn 1. It's O'Ward, Herda, Urrutia, Franzoni, and Dorman, the top 5. Out of the Alabama roller coaster, Mike Young, a really nice jump for the Mexican driver, Pato O'Ward.
That's what it said just moments ago. No need to give Pato O'Ward too much room before he takes advantage of it. Already a 6-car length advantage. Best battle on the field further back, and that's a battle for 3rd between Santiago Urrutia and Viktor Franzoni. Urrutia with a great jump out of turn number 6, got a killer run down this back stretch area. Into turn number 7, Urrutia starts to look on the inside and hold Herda.
and he is not able to make that move. And as he's trying to do so, here comes Viktor Franzoni trying to close in on Urrutia. It's the battle for third, but Urrutia gets that room. They move their way single file into turn number 10.
One more shot, Anders. Santi Urrutia already sawing on that steering wheel.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful here because we do have 30 laps of racing here, 50 minutes, and these Cooper tires have so much strain put on them, and especially around a place like this where the corners are all such long duration that you can easily burn them off. So he's got to be careful here. He can hustle a little bit on the opening laps and restarts, but after that he's got to settle down.
Dave, first Pato Award didn't waste any time. Look at that gap heading into turn number 1.
That is a sizable gap. There's much of that is all thanks to that restart. I think that's one of the better restarts we're going to find anywhere, let alone a Barber Motorsports car. That's why he has over a second.
Pato Award leads the field out of the Alabama roller coaster. Santi Urrutia, Michael Young, 2 car lengths back to Herda.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened on that last restart lap, but he has got a much better handling machine since the last time around. Drops to about 3 car lengths behind Colton Herda. Then it's Viktor Franzoni about 8 car lengths back, but so far clear sailing for Pato Award.
It's interesting, Michael, because entering turn 8-9 in that combo is an area where you can kind of condense in the accordion, but then once you get back down to the straightaway, those with a faster car are able to get themselves some breathing room. Nobody better to do that right now than the leader, Pato Award.
And we see the onboard shot once again from Santi Urrutia. Keeping pace. He is making Colton Herda sweat a little bit.
And just looking at his hands going through turn 10 and 11, that is such a quick switchback corner there, and the way that he just has to correct in the middle, that is not a nice feeling as a driver, but he handles it all so well, and that's an awesome view from the onboard camera.
Yeah, never good to be flipping that steering wheel to the left through a right-hand turn or right through a left-hand turn, but
they say 150 miles an hour, might I add.
They say moves as fast, but do you think that's a little too much?
No, I actually think that with the Cooper tires, the car likes to be driven free, and what I mean by that is it likes to not have too much steering input going through the corner, so it is the fastest way around, but it is very, very difficult to keep the rear underneath you.
Field making their way back up the hill out of turn number 5. The lead for Pato Award looks like it's about 10 to 12 car lengths. Santi Urrutia, though, Jake, still hounding Colton Herda for second spot.
And he has gotten himself some breathing room over Viktor Franzoni, that 4th place machine. So the top 3 checked out just a little bit. Award with a sizable gap to Colton Herda. Then that gap happens between Herda and then Urrutia.
A lot of fun, Dave, first watching these guys slinging around this racetrack. You know, the street course events that we started the season at St. Petersburg, it's all about just the bumps and trying to get those cars to turn. But here, I think these drivers, all of them, the IndyCar Series, Indy Lights, up and down the Mazda road to Indy, they really enjoy this style of racetrack.
No, they do. They talk, and they get a lot of time here. That's the thing. Through testing and whatnot, they get a lot. That's why yesterday, when Urrutia only turned the 8 laps in qualifying, brushed it off because he has spent so much time in testing. You go back to last year, these guys love coming to this race course. It is bad fast when they get going, and right now Pato Award is the guy. Yeah, my goodness, 1.6 second lead right now.
And Michael Young, he just set the fastest lap of this race, continues to pick him up and lay him down.
I'd have to give a hats off to Colton Herda as well. The lead last time for Pato Award seemed to be a little bit bigger, albeit 3 or 4 car lengths, but the big thing to note here is that Colton Herda is starting to pull away from Santi Urrutia, and so far Santi Urrutia pulling away from Viktor Franzoni. Not a lot of battles going on, Jake Perry.
Yeah, that front 5, because the 5th would be Ryan Dorman, and then a pretty decent gap back before you get those that were caught up in that early incident. That is Dalton Kellett, and then behind him, that rookie Solis. Everybody now single filing clean in through turn number 11.
These, of course, are the future stars of the Verizon IndyCar Series. It is one step below. Think of it as college football before the NFL, or maybe AAA baseball before making it to the majors. And Anders, year after year, this series produces the talent. And just look no further than the IndyCar champion 1 year ago, Joseph Newgarden, who won the Verizon IndyCar Series championship. This series continues to produce incredible talent.
It does, and never has it been more relevant as well with the new aero kit for IndyCar. These 2 cars now actually drive very similarly. We saw Matthias Laced come into the IndyCar and say, yeah, the car actually drives very, very similarly, which is why he did so well in the streets of St. Petersburg. So I think we're really, really seeing a strong correlation there. And in addition to the fact that you drive on the same tracks as Indy USF 2000, so you get to know these tracks. And for street course racing especially, you're never going to get to see that track until race weekend, so it carries huge value. And then obviously also the opportunity to get to learn oval racing from sort of the USF 2000 to then the Pro Mazda and then the Freedom 100 with Indy Lights.
Yeah, that's the cool thing, Rob, how it doesn't just start in Indy Lights, the Mazda Road to Indy. There's a couple steps below, and you're standing by the gentleman who has already gone to victory lane here at Barber.
This guy's actually done it here before in USF 2000, but I have Parker Thompson, who just won his first Pro Mazda race to get the season off to a start like this. You had a couple pretty good runs in St. Petersburg, Parker, but you get that first win here at Barber. 2 poles already. Maybe tomorrow morning try to go 2 for 2. Give me your thoughts on winning here today.
Winning here is unbelievable, Rob. I mean, you look, Barber Motorsports Park is the place I got my first USF 2000 pole, first USF 2000 win. Now I come here, I get my first double pole of my career on the Mazda Road to Indy, and we came away with a win today. So extremely special weekend. My hats are off to the Exclusive Autosport crew. They've done an unbelievable job. They've given me a solid car, and now my thoughts are on the focus tomorrow to try and go get 2 for 2.
Incredible journey so far for Exclusive Autosport. They make their debut in USF 2000 last year. You're able to give them their first wins, a double weekend win in Toronto. They debut in Pro Mazda Championship this year as they're continuing to develop up the Mazda Road to Indy, and you've given them the first win here. I think to be kind of a carbon copy of Toronto. Talk a little bit about Michael Duncalf and that team.
Michael Duncalf is probably the most aggressive team owner I know. I mean, you look at the Mazda Road to Indy, I don't think too many people buy into USF 2000. They go right into Pro Mazda their next year. But Michael works hard. He's the hardest working team owner that I know. He pulls a lot of late nights and a lot of early mornings getting his team together. He's assembled a great group of guys with Tim Lewis, my engineer, this weekend. And we're rolling. A lot of people don't realize this is only our second year on the Mazda Road to Indy. And it's our rookie year in Pro Mazda along with myself. We took a rookie driver over maybe an experienced a veteran. They took me, and it's pretty cool. We're all Canadian. They're from Saskatchewan. I'm from Alberta. It's a pretty cool all-Canadian thing we got going on.
You talk about the race itself. You qualify on the pole, that's important. You were able to get through turn 1, 2, and 3, and then you really just jetted away. How good did you guys develop that car, and how confident were you in the balance as that race went on?
Man, I was confident. Honestly, the best car I've ever driven at Barber. It's such a nice edge here. I mean, you look at the track, it's so easy to make the car loose or make the car push. And the Exclusive Autosport guys, Tim Lewis in general, has done an amazing job this weekend, giving me what I need. And all I got to do is put my feet and my hands right, and it seems like it goes.
Congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Rob. And a big shout out to the Humboldt Broncos. We're racing with them this weekend. They were a hockey bus that crashed in Humboldt, Saskatchewan. My team owner's from Saskatchewan, so we dedicate this win and this pole performance to them.
Nicely done.
Thank you very much.
Nicky Oman, he's got the Humboldt Strong and the Humboldt Broncos logo on the shirt. He's got it on the car, and that was one of the big things. 2 Canadians, so of course, Parker from Alberta and a team from Saskatchewan, those prairie provinces that just take hockey as really a religion in Canada. To lose those players and staff members like we did, the Humboldt Broncos, I know they're here and very proud that they're able to take them to victory lane.
Yeah, that was really a tough story to hear in the last couple of weeks of that accident. As much as hockey means up there to the Canadians, Dave First, that was something that I was glad to see that story made national news. You don't want to see those type of things, but certainly just a massive tragedy there in Canada, and good to see young Parker Thompson paying tribute.
It's touched so many people, not only in Canada, but the United States as well. Hockey fans everywhere, many of them displaying hockey sticks outside their homes, outside their front doors. I know Scott Goodyear, IndyCar driver and the analyst for ABC, same thing to his home. So, and the last walked by the motor coach, the trailers for James Hinchcliffe and Robert Wickens. They displayed some hockey sticks outside their trailer. So, nice to see. Heartwarming, certainly. No matter what sport you're involved in, certainly in this IndyCar.
And Anders, in terms of Parker Thompson, is a talented young driver, one that IndyCar and Indy Lights fans better keep their eye on for the next couple of years.
They absolutely need to. I mean, he was just on absolute fire with the motorsports in USF 2000, and made kind of a strange transition last year to Exclusive Autosports' first year on the Mazda Road to Indy in USF 2000, and they struggled at some races, were extremely strong at others. So I think what they really had their eyes set on this year is leveling out the lows and just kind of evening the highs, and they've done a great job. They were solid in the streets of St. Petersburg, obviously flying here this weekend, and now they just need to go into the month of May with a strong mindset as well.
Tell you what, Michael Young, pretty good battle picking up for 4th position between Viktor Franzoni and Ryan Dorman.
It's interesting when Viktor Franzoni gets down into turns 5 and 6, he swings it wide where Ryan Dorman chooses to go over the curbing there, and that's just slowly but surely allowed Ryan Dorman to carve that lead that he has over Viktor Franzoni. I'm speaking of just slowly gapping that down. I think about 3 car lengths,
and it starts to gap up even closer to that as they work their way through turn number 9. Then all of a sudden, Norman falls back just a little bit. Franzoni gets himself a little bit more breathing room on the straights.
Franzoni, the rookie driver, he drives that Soul Red Mazda as the scholarship winner, as the Pro Mazda champion from 1 year ago. Anders, he's a very talented rookie. Ryan Dorman is a guy who it took last year to get up to speed, and those two starting to battle a little bit here at Barber.
He's a talented rookie, but he's got to calm his hands down. I've been paying attention to him for the last few corners. He is all over the place, and the problem is he's going to wear out those Cooper tires. The rear tires are going to fall off this wagon if he doesn't start calming it down here. So, very, very talented guy and very spirited driver, and that's what we've seen from him in the last few years. But looking at his hands, he is far too busy, and that's going to burn those tires right off.
They head to turn 5, Michael Young.
That's indeed down to 2 car lengths as Ryan Dorman closes in on that rear wing of Viktor Franzoni. Franzoni with a better exit out of turn number 6 as they go back up the hill down towards turn number 7. That gap as Ryan Dorman starts to close it back up is 5 car lengths.
Ryan Dorman again trying to close in on Franzoni. Santi Urrutia has himself a wide margin before you get back to Franzoni in that 4th position. But Viktor Franzoni is not able to get that same breathing room between himself and Ryan Dorman. Still about a 3-car length advantage.
Here's how they run at Barber Motorsports Park with 13 in the books, 17 laps to go. It is Pato with a 1.2 second lead over Colton Herda. Herda had that down to about 0.8 of a second, but O'Ward is starting to pick the pace back up. Santi Urrutia runs in 3rd, 3.5 seconds back. Then this battle for 4th we've been talking about between Franzoni and Ryan Dorman as they run 4th and 5th. Dalton Kellen, after the problems in the early spin, he runs in 6th position. Alfonso Solis making his Indy Lights debut, runs in 7th. And the only car out of the race is Aaron Telitz, who will finish 8th today. Back to that battle for 4th. It's 3 or 4 car lengths, Michael Young, as they roar out of the Alabama roller coaster.
Just got out of turn number 4. Let's see how Franzoni enters turn number 5. A little bit closer to that curbing this time. As I said, the last couple of laps, he's been swinging it wide, was able to get down to that curbing, and that allowed Ryan Dorman to close up ever so slightly, but that gap seems to be about the same as it was last time through. It's still Viktor Franzoni over Ryan Dorman.
Norman again trying to stalk him in as they work their way that elevation change, that long spiral that is turn number 9. But again, once they get to the bottom of it, Franzoni is able to get into the gearbox fast enough to give himself again another car length advantage as they work their way through.
Dave First, of course, as I mentioned, Mazda, the title sponsor on that car for Viktor Franzoni as the scholarship winner. And that company, boy, oh boy, their commitment to motorsports, in particular open wheel racing here in the United States, is pretty impressive. As Franzoni, again, won the Pro Mazda Championship a year ago, and he gets the free ride into the Indy Lights here.
Not only the Mazda road to Indy, but I know you had the pleasure of calling a couple MX-5 races.
Boy, those races are so much fun. Those guys are a lot of fun to watch.
I was going to say, I mean, it's like it's unlike anything you've ever seen. It's pretty much cars you can buy in a showroom, pretty much, and throw them out there and race them. You know.
Well, I mean, I really wanted to do an MX-5 Cup race myself, but I've always said that if I did, I would need full insurance because I have a distinct advantage.
Are you saying that's a problem?
Can we slap
I have a tendency to get close, sometimes too close to the cars around me, yes.
I think we could probably slap a few IndyCar radio promos on that thing, right?
I mean, if that title sponsorship was up for grabs, I'm all for it.
I don't know if it's worth that much. I think you'd be a little disappointed. Again, we're watching the battle for 4th. It's easily the best one on the racetrack. How valuable, Anders, is this for Viktor Franzoni being pressured by Ryan Dorman early in his Indy Lights career?
It's crucial, more so for him to manage his tires, because the races in Pro Mazda are quite a bit shorter, and also the tire degradation isn't as big in Pro Mazda because it's a lighter car, way less horsepower. this power plant, the Mazda MZ-RR, is a 2-liter power plant that puts out 450 horsepower, but it's turbocharged, which means that before the turbos really spool up in the middle of the corner, it doesn't have that much power, but once the turbos come in, it really, really kicks in. And if you're not careful with the throttle application, that can really, really destroy the rear tires. So a great exercise for him in managing that himself. And again, that'll relate directly to the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Michael Ryan Norman gets closer and closer every lap.
Look to the inside this past time by Franzoni. The last lap actually locked him up. We saw a lot of tire smoke. Those Cooper tires so heated up when Franzoni locked up the brakes into turn number 5. Norman able to close it up again. Jake Query, that gap now to about 2 car lengths.
Right, I'll tell you what, this time by, Dorman went a little bit lower to the inside of the racetrack. That allowed him to make up some room, but he was not able to do it all the way through the sweep. The distance is still the same now in through 12.
Back up front, Pato O'Ward's lead was 1.2 seconds. Now it is down to 9/10 of a second as these two drivers are teammates competing for Michael Andretti make their way back up the front straightaway. Let's see what it's at the line. It was 9/10 of a second. It's going to be pretty close to that again. Across the line, 9/10 of a second again. So Anders, Colton Herda is doing a good job of at least keeping the pressure on Pato O'Ward. Just locked him up a bit in turn 2.
He is indeed, and I was just going to say that I wonder if Pato O'Ward is just saving his tires and not overdriving the car as he did in the streets of St. Pete when he made a mistake and went off the road when he was dominating that second race and then ended up finishing 7th. But yeah, then he had that slight lockup, and you want to be really careful with those lockups because you can so easily get a flat spot on those tires and then your pace drops dramatically.
These are two very, very talented drivers that we expect to compete for the championship. Had up and down weekends at St. Petersburg. I thought Pato O'Ward was going to sweep the weekend and had a 7th place finish in round 2. And then as for Colton Herda, again, trying to minimize those mistakes here in 2000.
Think about the way O'Ward started the season. Led 35 laps in the opener, led 27 laps in the second race, and Sunday race at St. Pete, then finished 7th. I mean, lessons learned. We're going to find out really quick here in the next 20 minutes or so what Pato O'Ward learned from the lessons at St. Pete. But question for you, Anders, when you hear the guys on the radio say, hey, save your tires, save your tires, it's easier said than done.
Oh man, it is not easy, and especially when you're looking in your rearview mirror and someone's catching you and looking at the car of Pato O'Ward right now. I think he's struggling with a little bit of an imbalance in that car because he looks like he has a lot of understeer going into the corners, and then suddenly he gets snapped loose on the way out, and that's a very, very difficult thing to manage.
Down to 8/10 of a second as they roar out of the Alabama roller coaster, not close enough to challenge. Michael Young, how about that battle for 4th?
Well, almost a battle for the lead, Nick Young, but Pato O'Ward locked him up down in Charlotte's Web. That allowed Colton Herda to nearly pull up underneath the rear wing. That gap now to 4 car lengths. Then it's Santiago all by himself. Franzoni and Dorman another 4 car lengths back for 4th and 5th.
And that battle for the lead is heating up. Colton Herda is right on the rear wing of Pato O'Ward. As a matter of fact, he was trying to squeeze inside of him through turn number 9. Couldn't make the move, but Pato O'Ward suddenly has company in the form of Colton Herda.
Anders, he is there. Colton Herda has closed on the back of Pato O'Ward. You saw it kind of play out down there in turn 5.
Oh, and now Pato O'Ward runs wide through turn 14. He's got to be careful here. Colton Herda is absolutely flying. That car is dialed. I'm looking at his steering inputs. That car is just hooked up.
Here they come out of turn 17 across the start-finish line. 11 laps to go here at Barber Motorsports Park, and that 8/10 of a second gap has been cut in half, down to 4/10, and it's now just a couple of car lengths. Again, O'Ward a little wide through turn 2. Michael Young, it's a 2-car length gap as they roar out of turn number 4.
11 laps to go in this first of the doubleheader of the weekend. Let's see how Pato does. Herda starts to stick that nose, lets him see him in the mirrors. Pato O'Ward cleanly now through turns 5 and 6. A lot better turn that time by for Pato. The gap between he and Herda now 4 car lengths. Santiago met in a good battle. Franzoni and Ryan Norman for 4th and 5th.
Ward this time goes a little bit more to the bottom of the racetrack entering turn number 9, so Herda not able to close any ground. They have a sizable gap back than the 3rd place car of Santiago Urrutia. Then Franzoni, who now has a 3-car length advantage over Ryan Norman.
Rob Howden on pit lane. We are watching a couple of future superstars, no doubt about it, battling here at Barber.
It's so interesting how things are shaking down here when we came to this event. Santiago Urrutia, of course, coming in with the point lead. Nick Aberg really being the consistent guy, it St. Petersburg. Colton Herda had trouble in race 1. We know that Pato Award drove off in race number 2. But it was Urrutia who really was probably the third fastest guy all weekend in Florida who came through with the point lead and eventually a race win. They're kind of running the same way right now. Urrutia is still third. He doesn't have the pace of both Award or Herda. The great thing is, Nick, as you said, here's two young superstars in the prime of their career in the junior ladder, ready to battle it out for a race win here at Barber.
That battle heads to turn 5, Michael Young.
10 to go this time by it. Herda thought, well, let's look on the outside. Let Pato Award know I'm out there. Swings it out, tries to sling it back to the inside. Pato Award, still that same gap, but boy, Bryan Herda letting his teammate know I've got a very fast car, trying to keep that pressure on Pato Award to see Jake Corey if he can make a mistake.
It's a good eye, Michael, because the same thing's happening from my vantage point, and that is Colton Herda trying to put his car everywhere he can to send that message to Pato Award. Now they're through turn number 11. Award with a car that's going to have advantage.
Anders, earlier in this race, when Pato Award jumped out to the big lead and Colton Herda started to close, you said, Award's probably saving his tires. He's got to run what he's got now. He's 10 laps to go.
He's not saving his tires, I tell you that much. No, Colton Herda's on an absolute charge, and again, I've been looking at his hands going into the corners, and I'm just so impressed with how methodical he is with his steering inputs. Never really puts the car at risk, and I think over a long run at a track like Barber Motorsports Park, that pays dividends with tire life. So you're doing a fabulous job here.
And that trouble spot again up at the top of the hill in turn 2. You see that right front tire pick up a little smoke. Colton Herda still about 4 or 5 car lengths back, Michael Young.
That time for Pato Award, he had a good run out of the Alabama roller coaster. So if he was saving something, he was able to increase his lead over Colton Herda that time through. About a 4 car length advantage last time by. This time Pato Award able to get an 8 car length advantage. As now Ryan Norman starts in on the rear wing of Viktor Franzoni. That gap was down to about 2 car lengths as they make their way down to turn 7.
So we'll peek in on that. That's the battle for the 4th position, with Urrutia running well ahead of them in 3rd. Viktor Franzoni now sweeps it around turn number 9, holds on to that 4th position. Norman goes in the same line that does Franzoni. They've got about 15 yards between the two of them.
Now this is exactly what we wanted day first. The field's certainly not as big as we'd like to see in the Indy Lights Series, but you can find those battles, and most importantly, the one up front is pretty good.
My question is, if you're Colton Herda, you're obviously putting a little bit of pressure right now on Pato Award. Are you able to save your tires a little bit vis-a-vis what Award's been able to do? Because obviously, Pato, as you mentioned, he's not worried about tires at all right now.
I think the key to a situation like this for Colton Herda is you've got to make an attack, then you've got to sit back for a couple of laps and let the tires come back to you, then go for another attack and keep doing that in rhythm. But most importantly, you've got to go for an attack in different spots every single time to take Pato Award off surprise. So very, very important here that he goes completely offline and surprises Pato Award with where he is in his mirrors, the one lap to the other. That really is the key.
It is Pato Award, your leader. Colton Herda runs second, a little over half a second behind. More importantly, it's just 3 or 4 car lengths. Then you've got Santi Urrutia, who has run a very quiet and efficient 3rd place today, as he has kind of been unchallenged from behind and not close enough to challenge for the lead. We've also been watching a tremendous battle for 4th as Viktor Franzoni last time across the line only had a 0.3 of a second advantage over Bryan Dorman. Dalton Kellett runs 6th. Alfonso Solis runs 7th. Aaron Tielitz is out of the race in 8th. And Anders, you're watching Colton Herda really hustle that race car.
Just about jumped out of my seat as he went off track, coming off turn 14 there, and that's a very difficult spot to manage when you go off track like that. So he did a good job of recovering, but he doesn't want to have too many offs like that. Bottoming out like that is the worst thing you can do for an open wheel race car such as this. Very, very easy to do damage to the underside of the car, to the diffuser, and all the aero bits underneath the car, and that'll reduce your downforce level drastically.
7 laps to go and the leaders head to turn 5.
Colton Herda locked him up big time last time 3 at about 200-yard foot marker. Colton Herda locked him up all the way down into turn number 5. Now laying back a little bit on Pato Award, and now further back, Ryan Dorman locks him up into turn number 5. Was trying to make a move around the outside of Viktor Franzoni. Norman locked him up in turn number 5, and that cost him big. That gap from 4th now to 8 car lengths.
Award got a little bit high exiting turn number 9. That allowed Herda to make up some ground, but now Norman trying to make up where he left off. in the form of catching Franzoni. That distance now is still about 6 car lengths.
Yeah, there was a ton of smoke off the tires of Bryan Dorman, who made a really, really deep charge to Viktor Franzoni in turn number 5, and I don't know how Norman didn't slide that car off of the racetrack. Back up front, though, it is Pato O'Ward. The advantage for him over Colton Herda is 4 or 5 car lengths. Across the line, 6 laps to go as these drivers for Andretti Autosports setting up for a good finish here at Barber Motorsports Park. Once again, right front tire lock up a bit for Pato O'Ward to get that strong charge out of the Alabama roller coaster, Michael, as they head to turn 5.
And Pato O'Ward has been able to manage the charge of Colton Herda, now down to about a 6-car length gap. Again, 2 laps ago was a big moment for Colton Herda as he locked him up, trying to get those Cooper tires cooled back down to allow himself one more charge. Now Santiago not really falling into the grasp of Viktor Franzoni, but that gap for third now closing up a little bit. But if Colton Herda wants to get it done, Jake Query, he's got to hurry.
Entering the last 20% of this race, Colton Herda really was not able to pounce on the one time that O'Ward might have gotten a little bit offline. Taking a look now at that battle for the 4th position, it's Franzoni with Bryan Dorman there. That seems to have settled itself out just a bit compared to the last couple of circuits by.
Dave, first, these are 2 young drivers who give a lot of credit. Neither one of them cracking or making any big mistakes here at Barber Motorsports.
These are very veteran-like drives for both of them here, and this is just the 3rd race of the season. O'Ward and Colton Herda. Question for you, Anders. If you're Herda, you're watching, you can tell now, by now anyway, where O'Ward is really struggling. What course on this race course? He's locking up. I mean, this gap's really closing in. So, throwing that in the back of your mind, what can you do to help make up that gap?
I tell you, you've just got to be aggressive whenever you show yourself in the mirrors of Pato O'Ward. You've really got to place your car off to different sides each and every corner while not overdriving your tires. So it's certainly, around a place like this, not an easy task to be the guy in 2nd place, because you have the dirty air on your wings, and it's so effective in these high-speed corners. So you can follow as closely as he is right now. He's probably losing 20 to 30% overall grip by being within those 5 to 10 car lengths of Pato O'Ward. So not an easy task here. Very easy for him to burn off his tires as well.
And to Herda's credit, we are starting to see, especially entering turn 5, he's taking an alternate line.
Right.
Looks like he has those right side tires all the way up around the grass, or by the grass on the outside to try to arc it in.
And where I really like Colton Herda's line is in turn 2 and turn 3. He goes really high on entry to the corner, so he gets clean air on the wing for roughly 50% of the corner. So I think that's why he gets that good run off at turn 3 and can set up for
4 laps to go here at Barber Motorsports Park as Pato O'Ward is trying to secure his 2nd win of the season. Entered this weekend 2nd points, 8 back behind Santi Urrutia, who runs in 3rd. Once again, a couple very lines out of the Alabama roller coaster as the leaders head to turn 5.
Yeah, and for Colton Herda, he really had his opportunity about 5 laps ago. Pato O'Ward's been able to find a rhythm right now, and as Anders Cronin said, he was just missing his marks and overdriving the car. He's settled it back in now that Colton Herda has kind of given, I don't know, about 5 car lengths back, 10 car length gap between the leader in 2nd place, then Santi Urrutia. But again, that battle's starting to heat up as Ryan Norman trying to close the ground. He lost to Viktor Franzoni for 4th.
Again, that is the battle for 4th, like you said, Michael, and it has Viktor Franzoni right now. Literally, as he makes that long sweep, it's as though he is pulling Ryan Norman just behind him, but then once they get out of that right-handed turn number 9 and get into acceleration before turn number 10, that's where Franzoni is able to get himself a little bit of room.
Yeah, I was wondering if Dorman would be able to charge back up to challenge Viktor Franzoni after that big lockup in turn 5, but he has done just that. Out of turn 17, 3 to go now. Pato O'Ward has been perfect here in the late stages of this race. The advantage now up to 1.2 seconds. Anders, he is starting to pull away from the American Colton Herda.
Yeah, and exactly what Michael Young said. He has settled down a lot here, but again, paying attention to his handling of the car, that's such a good indication of exactly how good the car is. And he really has dialed it down here. He's slowed down the entries to the corners. That puts less strain on the tire going into the corner, so he can have a more smooth line throughout the duration of each corner, and he's done a fine job of that. So his tires probably have come back to him, whereas in the case of Colton Herda, who's been stuck in that turbulent air, he's burned those tires off by now.
1.2 second lead from Pato O'Ward over Colton Herda. That's what it was about 6 or 7 laps into this race. So everything all of a sudden reverting back to what we saw earlier part of that.
And it's still not comfortable by any means for Pato O'Ward. It's not like he can just cruise it home. But he is breathing. Yes, he is just that.
Yeah, it was certainly a nice charge by Colton Herda, but he is running out of time as they're going to see 2 laps to go here as Colton Herda and Pato O'Ward charge through the carousel here, turns 16 and 17. Nice swooping corners. You carry a lot of speed through there onto the front straightaway. 2 to go for Pato O'Ward here at Barber Motorsports Park over Colton Herda. The lead now 1.3 seconds. Santi Urrutia, haven't talked much about him as he runs in the 3rd position. A little bit further back, Michael, let's look in on that battle for 4th here with just a few laps to go. Viktor Franzoni has it, but Ryan Dorman has been hounding him for the majority of this race.
Working our penultimate lap, and it is indeed, it looks like everybody content with where they run right now. Pato O'Ward and Herda through turns 5 and 6, then it's Santi Urrutia, but Ryan Dorman coming on strong. Looks to the outside of Viktor Franzoni, then tucks it back to the inside. That time Ryan Dorman got a really good run out of turn number 6. Down the hill, down into turn number 7. Ryan Dorman running out of time, but he's going to look to the inside of Franzoni for 4th.
Franzoni was able to just barely hold him off. Norman came into turn number 9 like he had been slung out of a slingshot. Franzoni was able to hold him off, though, and again get himself a little bit of a margin. Called a 2-car length advantage for Viktor Franzoni.
Boy, Anders, Viktor Franzoni's finished 4th in the first 2 races. This is going to be about as hard-earned of a 4th place finish here.
Well, I think if it was racing, probably tried telling him before the start of the season, you've got to be consistent. But the only issue with that is when everyone else is winning races ahead of you in the championship chase, that's not enough. But still a huge learning curve here for Ricky Franzoni.
Meanwhile, up front, it is Pato O'Ward who has seen the white flag here at Barber Motorsports Park. He is being chased by Colton Herda. Michael Young, he'll roll up out of the Alabama roller coaster for the final time. You'll see our leader, but let's also keep an eye on that great battle for 4th place here on the last lap.
Indeed, and for Pato O'Ward, a 1st, and then disastrous 7th in the 2nd round in St. Petersburg. Cruising to victory, it looks to be for this final time. Made that pass around his teammate in turn number 5 on the opening lap. It's so far Pato O'Ward, then it's the machine of Colton, Santi Urrutia, and Jake Query. That battle for 4th still starting to close in. Ryan Dorman has one last cast to try to get over 4th.
And he's not going to be able to make that move at least through the 9-10 combo. Franzoni able to hold off Ryan Dorman. We're still 2 weeks away from the 19th birthday of Pato O'Ward, but Nick Yeoman, he's going to have an awful lot of celebrating, it would appear to do.
No doubt about it. It's a doubleheader weekend, and Pato O'Ward is going to kick it off with a victory here at Barber Motorsports Park. Out of turn 17, the young driver from Mexico will score his 2nd win of the season as he runs across the start-finish line. You'll see the twin checkered flags. It is Pato O'Ward, your winner here at Barber Motorsports Park in race number 1. Colton Herda comes home 2nd. Santi Urrutia finishes 3rd. Viktor Franzoni holds off Ryan Dorman by just 0.4 of a second. So Franzoni finishes 4th, and Ryan Dorman comes home 5th. Let's go to pit lane and Rob Howden.
Standing by here with Michael Andretti. 3 of your young Chargers putting on a bit of a show there. A big win for Pato. Of course, Colton pushed hard. Then Ryan Dorman going at it at the end there, trying to get by Franzoni. Was that as much fun to watch for you as it was for us?
I don't know if it's fun. I don't know if that's the word. It's nerve-wracking. I think it's more like it. But they did a good job. They raced good and clean. And, you know, I'm really proud of both of them. I'm proud of the whole team. They've done a great job so far all weekend. And see what happens tomorrow.
I think both Colton and Pato making mistakes at St. Petersburg, for them to come back here and race as hard as they did and not make any mistakes, I think that's a character-building move for them.
Oh, no question about it. But, you know, this is a training series, so you're supposed to make mistakes now and learn from them. And obviously that's what they did.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Nick Yeoman, a pretty happy car owner down here.
Yeah, and that's some great comments from Michael Andretti. Nobody's come into Indy Lights, Anders, and been perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, and Pato O'Ward certainly threw away a win in race 2 at St. Petersburg. But boy, the other 2 starts, he has been perfect as he picks up his 2nd win.
He has indeed. He needs to be perfect the remainder of the year, because someone like Santi Urrutia, with all the experience in the world now, you betcha he's not going to throw away any results after the seasons he's had the last 2 years. So he needs to keep this up. When he's in a position to win the race, he's got to win the race. But when he's having a tougher run back in 3rd, 4th, 5th, he's got to take that as well.
And Dave, it wasn't a victory for Colton Herda or Santi Urrutia, but those podiums seem to add up when you get to the end of the season.
You know, if you're consistent, you got some top fives, chances are you're going to have a chance at winning the championship at the end of the day. By the way, not only a win for Pato O'Ward, he now has the points lead as well, one better than Santi Urrutia.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun championship to watch all season long as drivers like Pato O'Ward, Colton Herda, Santi Urrutia, maybe Viktor Franzoni as well before the season ends. Right now, though, kind of looking like Santi Urrutia and Pato O'Ward are going to be the guys to watch in this championship. But it is mighty early. This is just the third race of 17 in this championship. Pato O'Ward has taken that red, white, and green Mazda for Andretti Autosport into victory lane, where he will celebrate momentarily. I'm going to hop out of that race car and talk to Rob Howden. Here is your final running order. Pato O'Ward picks up the win, second of his career and second of the season. Colton Herda comes home in the second position. Santi Urrutia from Uruguay gets the final step on the podium in third. Viktor Franzoni finishes in fourth today at Barber Motorsports Park. Ryan Norman comes home in fifth. His Andretti Autosport teammate Dalton Kellett finishes sixth. Alfonso Solis did a nice job completing all 30 laps in his Indy Lights debut. He finishes 20 seconds behind the winner, Pato O'Ward, but still, job well done by Solis coming home in seventh. And then Mr. Hard Luck, Aaron Telitz, once again, not able to complete the first lap of an Indy Lights race. He finishes last. He has yet to finish a lap this season, Anders, because he didn't start race one and now 2 first lap accidents. That is just brutal.
Round 3 of the 2018 Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires comes to a close here in Alabama, and it goes to Pato O'Ward. Pato, sweaty after a hard day's work around a very physical racetrack.
It is. It's a physical racetrack, but all in all, we went a bit aggressive on the setup, and it was a handful for every single lap of that race. I thought we were going to be fine in the first 2 laps, but after the safety car, I said, okay, well, it should come in a few laps, but I kept fighting the rears the whole way, and Colton kept closing on me, and I knew he was fast, so I was like, I honestly didn't know. I actually don't know how I kept it on the track. It was really, really loose, especially on the fast stuff, and there's so much compression in this track where you miss a little bit, and when the car compresses, it'll just snap loose, and it'll send you off. But I'm super, super happy for the team, and I want to thank everybody that, that helped us and have been supporting us along the way, like CDMX, Riverina, Mexico, and obviously all the Andretti boys. So I want to say thanks to them, and obviously Mazda and Cooper Tires for all the support that they gave the series.
All right, a bright, sunshiny day here in Alabama. It looks like it's going to be quite different tomorrow. You ready to go rain racing?
I am. I think it's pretty cool that we're going to get to do both. I hope it doesn't rain that hard so we can actually race, because sometimes it rains way too hard, and the cars are they're just so low to the ground. It's kind of hard to drive around it. Sometimes, they even cancel races because the cars are undrivable, but I think if it's a nice, steady, light rain, I think you're going to see some really good racing.
Round 3 in Alabama goes to Pato O'Ward. Congrats, Pato.
Thank you.